former Buckeye quarterback Greg Frey joining us. Greg, great to talk to you. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
When you watch Dwayne Haskins throw the football, what adjectives, what words come to your mind?
First one is wow. And by the way, hi Dave. Good to hear your voice as well.
Hi, Greg.
I remember vividly watching him in the spring game. I believe it was 2 years ago, and he kind of went toe to toe with JT Barrett, and they might even won the game. And I remember watching his release, and I was really impressed. And I've seen a lot of quarterbacks, and he just jumped off the page to me. And there's not many quarterbacks that jump off the page, so I could see it then. And clearly what he did last year against Michigan was special. So I just, he's very sound fundamentally. He's very well coached. Ryan Day is doing a fabulous job, and he's got all the resources around him. The O-line's giving him time for the most part. So right now it's easy for him. And I'm hoping that the O-line keeps it up and it remains easy because he is picking defenses apart.
It also seems to me like it's the perfect storm, so to speak, Greg, in that Dwayne Haskins has this immense talent for throwing the football, and he happens to burst onto the scene at a time where we've seen this receiver core start to come on the last couple of years, and now they're all veterans. They all came back this year, and it seems like they are at peak form at the same time you have this talent at quarterback, and the marriage between the two is making a very potent Ohio State passing game.
Well, it is, and you got two outstanding running backs. So, there's really not a weakness on this offense. I would say the tight ends probably aren't as involved with the H-backs as I'd like them to see, but they don't need to be at this point other than blocking, catching a few balls. So, you got a well-oiled machine on offense. But there's still question marks because, you had one great matchup against TCU, but, the question is how good were they? They lost to Texas last week. So it's still that time of the year when questions need to be answered. How good is Penn State? Maybe you could argue they haven't played a difficult schedule, but maybe they're better than you think they are because it doesn't mean they're not very good. So, I'm careful not to get overly excited about our offense and what he's doing. It's been great so far, and they're in a nice rhythm. But it's adversity will find this team, and good chance they're going to find some adversity, Friday night in State College or Saturday night in State College because that place is just a difficult place to play. So, I'm cautiously optimistic that these guys are going to keep this thing going on Saturday.
Greg, you work with young quarterbacks and you develop young quarterbacks, and I'm sure you've seen the video that's been played 1 million times of young Dwayne Haskins, and it looks like he's got it when he's 8 years old, right? I mean, it looks like that. His mechanics when he's 8 years old were right there. How much of what he's doing is just God-given talent, and how much of it is the way he's being coached? Or I guess the logical answer would be it's a blending of both, right?
It really is, Dave. He's been gifted. There's no doubt about it. And he had that dream when he was young, which I just think is awesome, because I had the same thing. But I sat and watched some of the game. I recorded over the weekend because I didn't see it live, and I was watching some of it yesterday and really breaking down some of his throws. And it's just, it is impressive to watch. He gets it out quick. His release is way above average, and it comes out with some velocity on it. And I just, I nitpick when I'm looking at fundamentals. His fundamentals are so sound, which gives him the ability to be accurate on a very consistent basis. So it's fun to watch. As a fan, it's fun to watch. But as a student of quarterbacks, he's good.
Visiting with former Buckeye quarterback Greg Frey, one of the things that earlier this year when Ryan Day was talking with us every week while Coach Meyer was on suspension, but he got asked about Dwayne Haskins' development and where he's made the biggest improvement. And he said two areas. One was his body. He's transformed his body physically, stronger, working with Mickey Marotti. But the other one, he said, where he's made great improvement is in the classroom. And he talked about watching film and learning and understanding how to watch film. Greg, take us through that. Like, as when you're a young quarterback, you come to Ohio State, is there a process of learning how to watch film, what you're looking for, how to read defenses, and can that all be part of what we're seeing from Dwayne Haskins too?
That's a great question, Matt, because watching film is not an easy thing. It has to be learned, and it has to be taught. So you've got to teach a young quarterback how to look at a film and how to look at a defense and break a defense down, how to understand fronts, how to understand coverages, how to understand down and distance and what to expect. And at the college level, you've got guys that are breaking that down for you, so you've got it all. You can look at 3rd and 4 to 6, and you can see the tendencies, and I mean all that is there for you, but you have to understand it. You got to be able to watch film and evaluate yourself. So after games, you're watching to evaluate yourself, or having the coach evaluate you. So, but eventually you get to the point where you can watch film, and a lot of times you're not watching the ball, and that there's an art to that. Because you go watch a game, and as a fan of the stadium, you're watching the ball in a lot of cases. And I catch myself, I'll miss a lot of running plays because I'm looking at the coverages, looking downfield, and let the ball kind of come to where my eyes are. But a lot of times I'm not looking at that just because I've been so, it's ingrained in me to do that. So teaching a young quarterback that to do that is not an easy thing. So again, give some credit. I mean, Ryan Day is just fabulous. I mean, I have so much respect for what he's doing. He's got some great experience, and this quarterback crew can't have a better guy teaching them. But that is a process. And you got to have a quarterback that wants to do that too, because that's extra time.
Yep.
And I remember spending the time in there going in. I mean, I remember getting to the Woody Hayes facility earlier than anybody, 1 in the afternoon or earlier, just jamming out some film before we even went into our quarterback meetings because you needed that. Because as a quarterback, you have to understand all 22 guys, not just 11, and that takes time and a lot of film study as well as game reps.
Okay, the quarterback that is going to be on the other sideline on Saturday is pretty darn good too. Trace McSorley. When you watch him play, Greg, what jumps out at you about Trace McSorley, and how big of a challenge is that going to be for an Ohio State defense that's going to be without its best player, by the way, in Nick Bosa? How good is McSorley?
He's a winner. I mean, he's been a winner. I mean, in high school, he won multiple state championships. The guy that's just in him, and you can see he's a ferocious competitor. And he has the ability to be very accurate and run the football if he has to, and he can will his team to victory. So that's a guy that and he's done it before. I mean, he did it last year out of Iowa, when their season's on the line, pulled a game out in the last second. So that guy is that's his environment. So the Buckeye defense is going to have their hands full with him. So that's a guy I like watching play. He's really tough. He's hard-nosed, and he's going to keep them in it. I can assure you of that.
Real quick, Greg, when a Nick Bosa is out, and I know Ohio State has great talent on the defensive line, and we've talked about it that they have great depth. But I mean, this is a top draft pick in the NFL. From Penn State's offensive standpoint, when you don't have Nick Bosa in the equation, when you're game planning for Ohio State, how big of a difference does that one player make in what they can or cannot do and how they game plan for this game?
That's a good question. I mean, I think clearly it makes a difference. I mean, I'm sure the offensive line over there is breathing a sigh of relief. But, from the Buckeye standpoint, it's the next man up philosophy plus those around that spot has got to step up. And you saw that last weekend. I think it was good to have the one game where, the younger guys could get in there and play. The talent level is still extreme. You just lose some experience, and and a veteran guy who can literally take a game over by himself almost. So I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal for the Buckeyes. I just think their defense is getting better. But I would say that defensively, that's the part of this concerns me is how has our defense improved over the last couple of weeks? Are they going to give up less big plays? Because that's kind of been their Achilles heel this year. In an environment like that, can they hold up? And that's what I want to see on Saturday night.
Hey, Greg, thanks for taking a few minutes for us. Great to catch up with you and appreciate it very much.
You got it, Matt and Dave. Thank you.